welcome to the Myrita Minutes. This is Myrita, and I want to welcome everyone that's new here, and to all my new subscribers. Thank you for joining me on my journey. Today, we're going to talk about the Diddy Trial. I'm going to combine day two and day three. I didn't get a chance to come here last night after reviewing what happened, but I'm going to sum it up, and I'm not going to be long because I'm just not going to be long. I'm just going to highlight some of the highs and the very, very lows. And you know, in my past videos, I always say, we understand that Diddy's a monster. We know he's abusive. We know he's done this. We know he's done that. Yet those aren't the charges that are being brought against him. He's being brought for racketeering. He's being brought for prostitute, and he's being brought for trafficking. Well, the federal government, the prosecutors, those six ladies are bringing it home. They are really building the case. Now, Cassie was on the stand again today. And I can honestly say that my tune has changed up a little bit. First of all, I just want to say this girl went through hell for over a decade. Now, granted, she didn't have to be there. She chose to be there somewhat. I honestly feel, in my personal opinion, that she has Stockholm syndrome. She's delusional, thinking that they were in some sort of relationship. There was no relationship there. On her side, maybe. She felt for him. That's what people with Stockholm syndrome, they start to empathize with their captor abusers. And I feel like that's what was going on with her. She has Stockholm syndrome because she couldn't get away. She tried to get away, but he kept going back to get her. But even when he would go back and get her, he beat her up. She still come back. She loved him. She kept saying it. I loved him. They kept asking her, why'd you go back? I loved him. She thought she loved him. She was delusional, thinking that they were in a relationship. We were together for 10 years. No, he had you as a ex-slave for 10 years. Because don't nobody that love you let all that stuff happen to you and do those things to you. So let's just start. Like day two, they went over, she broke down how they set up what they call their escapades, their freak-offs, and how it was kind of choreographed and everything had a time. And he wanted you to slow it down. He had, you had to go at his pace. And she said sometimes the freak-offs would last for 2 hours or 4 days is the longest that they would last. They would have, and they were broken into sessions. Sometimes they'd be with one escort. Sometimes they might have 3 escorts in one day. And each escort had a session. And between each session, Diddy would get in there and do his little weirdo stuff. But this was like almost every week. If not every week, it was almost every week for 10 years, give or take. So what are the components of a freak off? Well, he's fascinated with oil, baby oil. Remember the $1,000, the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube, candles, inflatable pools filled with the oil and lube. She said they might go through like 10 bottles of oil in one freak off because they had to continue to keep putting the oil and stuff on them because he didn't want them to dry out. They had to be glistening. More oil. Every 5 minutes they were putting oil on them. And I think one of the questions from the prosecutor, she was like, well, after a freak off, what was the room? What did the room look like? And she said it would be oil and blood, be kind of musky. She was like, blood? Where would the blood come from? Well, sometimes she'd be on her cycle and he wouldn't care because a freak off had to go off. No pun intended. Regardless. You know how they say anything rain, sleet, it's going to happen. The show must go on. Yeah. Cycle, infections, sores in the mouth, rawness, UTIs. The show must go on. Yes. He made her go through all of that. So she explained, like, in between each session, that whenever the escort would ejaculate on her, whether on her or in her, after they did that, they'd have to go off into another room and she'd have to rub the man milk, I'll call it, on his chest and on his nipples. He's a weirdo on top of being an abuser. Why she was in love with him, I haven't the slightest idea, because that would have turned me the hell off. First of all, it would have turned me off for the fact you want me to sleep with all these men. Number one, and I'm in love with you. You want me to sleep with all these men because you're a voyeur. And I guess that's what voyeurism is. You like to watch other people. But okay, let's at least use protection. No, they couldn't use protection. Everybody had to go raw dogging her. What? Then she had to give people sloppy toppy. But this is your woman. Then you're gonna have them urinate in your girl's mouth. And you urinate in the girl's mouth. He used her like a trash can. There's no way in hell that he loved that girl. There's no way. I'm trying to feel like, what does he really feel about his daughters? Even though he claims he loves them so much, how would he feel if his daughters got treated like that? Has he ever been asked the question? He's so busy, going after everybody that he thinks that she might have been dating, blowing up cars and threatening people's lives for her, who he treats like hell, like a piece of crap. How would he feel if his daughters were treated like that? I just, I can't fathom what happened in his childhood. I'm looking at his mother first and foremost. Like, why the hell did he turn? Who did you leave him with? What babysitter did he have? Because clearly he is messed up. And drugs have a tendency to take you that way. Drugs and money have a tendency to turn people weird, really weird. And he had too much money and too much access to whatever drugs was on the market, which makes people really weird. Those rich people get bored and they do stuff like this. But anywho, if he's running multi-million-dollar companies, when did he have time to do freak offs every week? I mean, I understand he had people running his companies, but you're supposed to be at the head of those companies, trying to figure out, well, making sure everything's going on like it should. And he's still acting like a gangster on top of that. As soon as somebody come, they jumping in black SUVs, jumping in the car, getting their pals like they gangsters. Either you a billionaire in corporate or you a street dude. What are you? I believe that Cassie clearly wasn't the only one he treated like that. She's just the only one that has the nerve to come forward and tell her story. And I commend her for that. But I feel like he treated all of them the same. I believe he treated Kim the same. His bodyguard, Gene Deal, basically said that they had threesomes and did stuff like that. I believe that. He fought her too. Only towards the end did Kim start fighting back. And he left her alone. And she even made a comment. I want to say it came from her. Came from somebody. The only time he left her alone is when she was pregnant. Like, she didn't have to be a part of the freak offs if she was pregnant. But she did that. I don't know about Jennifer Lopez. I think Jennifer Lopez was a PR thing. I don't know. I mean, she could have gotten down with some threesomes or whatever, but I don't know if it was to the degree of Cassie. No, I don't think it was to the degree of Cassie. Young Miami, you were on your way, girl. You were on your way. Cause he was doing you the same way he was doing her. May not have gotten to the part or the and then again it may have. I mean, cause you were taking up for him. You talking about, oh, we were in love. Girl, you delusional too. You delusional too. Girl. So she basically talked about how in day two, how the freak offs went. What was a freak off? What constituted a freak off? What ingredients were part of a freak off? What was expected of you at a freak off? She said sometimes he would be in another room, but they would be on FaceTime. And he'd be looking through the camera, watching her do whatever. Just weird stuff. Just weird. But today, ugh, my heart goes out to her. Now, I know, like I said in the past, in my past videos, I was like, you know what? I always say Diddy's gonna do some time, but I really think he's gonna do some time. I really think he's gonna do some time. It's inevitable. And even if they don't get him on a RICO, they're gonna give him the most time you can get for whatever else they get him on. But they setting up the scene. They setting it up. Now I don't know how his defense is gonna come back because today the prosecution laid it on thick. Miss Cassie told her story, talked about how she has sores in her mouth from giving too much sloppy toppy. She always had, a bunch of sores in her mouth to the point where they hurt. And it didn't matter if they hurt or not because the show had to go on. She had UTIs burning while she's doing a freak off. But she couldn't stop. He wouldn't allow her because the show had to go on. And if she didn't do what he wanted her to do, then he whip her ass because the show had to go on. He was horrible. She was nothing but an ex-slave with an S on the front, of course. But ex-slave. That's what she was. And she had Stockholm Syndrome. You can't tell me that's not what she had. There's no way that you would love someone like that. He hurt you all the time, made you do stuff you don't want to do for 10 years. He tortured her, threatened to put the videos that he recorded out for all to see if she didn't do what he asked her to do. Then I think they were on an airplane or something, and he pulled some of the videos up on her laptop, ones that he said that he deleted, and started playing them. And people, of course, people were around. They were on a commercial flight. He started playing the videos. She even said she changed her seat on that flight to get away from him. He traded his ticket with somebody else so he could sit next to her. And all he did was torture her. How cruel could you be? She couldn't even get away from him. Now, I don't know how she thought she was going to get away from him on the flight. But even when they were on ground, she couldn't get away from him because he would send people to go look for her. If he didn't, he was always banging on her door. He showed up at her place unannounced, but he was paying for it, so I guess it was his place. But she was terrified of him. She even had to, got to the point where she was terrified, didn't know when he was going to stop by. So she stuck a knife in the door, because she was going to stab his behind. She had probably at that point had enough. But at this point, she was going to stab him because she couldn't do it. So then she decided she wanted to write a book. And they were like, why did you want to write a book? He said, because I wanted him to read it. Because he never listened to me. He didn't hear me. But I bet you he hears her now. They didn't did their exhibits. They didn't put up all the pictures of her bruises, her black eyes, the video of him going to town on her when she was trying to leave a freak off. She didn't want to be there. She tried to leave, and he tried to drag her back down the hallway because she didn't want to be a part of it. She was tired. And then his threat was, well, I get somebody else to do it. She says she should have said, go ahead, do it. Or when she did start saying, well, go ahead, you can call Kim or somebody. Then he beat her ass again for being flipped. It was like, damn if she do, damn if she don't. No matter what, he just beat her ass. Whatever he was frustrated about, she got it. She got it all around the world. From his house to her house, to Canada, to the Hamptons, to Canada, to Jamaica, Turks and Caicos. Everywhere they went, she got her ass whipped. I think she said one time she put him off her I think he put her off his boat, and her passport and everything was on there. And then they said, well, what happened next? She said, well, that night we went to the red carpet. He was, oh God, he was weird. So they asked her, she ever see him be violent like that with anybody else? And she basically said, well, he was violent like that with his assistants, pulled her out of bed, dragged her. He tried to go through her phone and she said no. And then he went off on her. He went off on one of her girlfriends at her house, and I think beat her upside the head with a wooden hanger. Um, Held somebody over top of the balcony and then pulled up off of the balcony and threw her into the patio furniture. I mean, he did this to women more so than men. I didn't hear her or recall her saying anything about him going after any men, but women he beat up. He doesn't like women, which gives me the reason to think that Diddy is gay. My opinion. He's gay. He doesn't like women, and he has mommy issues. I don't know what happened in his childhood. Something happened, but he's gay. He does not like women. You don't treat your women like that. Misa got slid up underneath the car. Gene Deal tells that story because Misa was either flirting with somebody or got caught dealing with somebody else or whatever, and he went the hell off and slid her up underneath the car. Was going to beat the brakes off of her. No, that was the only way. No, he was beating her up, and the only way she got away from him was to get underneath the car. Kim has a broken nose. He fought her on more than one occasion, but he backed up off of her when she slit that wrist with that corkscrew. And every time she said, and I think the only reason why he left her alone was because she said, you're going to explain them scars on your face because I'm going to fuck you up, basically. He left Kim alone. So then he had to find another punching bag, which was Cassie, and she was it for 10 years. Between her, Gina, because Gina was in the midst while she was dealing with Cassie, and Gina was the first one to tell it, actually, to Tasha K. Same stories. Beat her up, didn't want her to be pregnant, tried to kick the baby out of her, stomped her in her face. All the things that he did to Cassie, he did to Gina. And you can't tell me that Young Miami didn't get the brunt of that either. He's just a horrible person. He didn't treat her like that. You could tell he don't even have a type. Look, think about it. Kim don't look like Cassie. Misa don't look like them. I mean, they're all pretty. Maybe that's his type, pretty. But they don't look like, usually men have a type like they all kind of resemble in some sort of kind of way. But they're all different looking. So he doesn't even have a type, which goes to show that he likes pretty women, but he doesn't. My personal opinion. Then they talked about how, I think, during one of the freak offs, he must have went through Cassie's phone and saw that she had emailed or text Kid Cudi talking about she needed to come get her toiletries, and found out that she was messing with Kid Cudi. And he must have took a corkscrew thing and put it in between his fingers and went to stab her in the face, but she must have jumped back, whatever, and she got the hell up out of there. Kid Cudi came and picked her up, but she had to leave Kid Cudi alone because Diddy was threatening to unalive him. He was threatening to unalive him. And I think without any proof, but they're saying that he was the one allegedly that blew up Kid Cudi's car or his vehicle. And they met about it. Something about they had a meeting on it or whatever. And Kid Cudi was like, "What about my vehicle?" And Diddy said, "What vehicle?" And that was the end of the conversation. But at that time, he had already blew up the car, allegedly. Yeah, Diddy thinks he is the Godfather. He acts like a gangster. Didn't they say one segment of today's proceedings, Cassie's husband had to be removed from the courtroom, and they said they did it for Diddy's safety for this particular part of the testimony. And I want to say is that during a time when I think while she was dating Alex, he must have stopped by her house and R'd her. Just took it, came in her, and left. That was the part that he had to leave out on. They made him leave out on. So whether he knows about it or not, I'm sure he doesn't. But he's probably worrying the hell out of Cassie. Like, what did they want to talk to you about? She's probably going through it at home too. But then she said they hooked up after that because Diddy wanted to talk. But I think she said at that particular time they got into an argument. But she said they think they had kind of went to the same after party. It was a nice night. They had a good night. And they went home. And she did it because she wanted to. She left. So I think that was the last time they were together. So the last time they were together, I guess that might have been their goodbye, love, makeup, sex, whatever it was, or goodbye sex or whatever. And that was how they left it. But she went through 10 years of hell. So February 2023, evidently she was having flashbacks of all the stuff that she had gone through, all the trauma. I'm sure she's gone to therapy for it. But she tried to unalive herself, walking into traffic. So I'm assuming she just wrote everything down. She said she wanted to write a book. And they were like, "Why you want to write a book?" And they said, "Because I want him to read it. I want him to know everything he did to me, everything he put me through. I wanted to know all the pain that I felt." My thing is she should have wrote the book because that would have been a damn good book or a damn good movie. She should have kept it. She would have made more money than $20 million because people would have wanted to go see that movie. The Monster in Miami. She could have named it The Monster in Miami. It had a silhouette, a bad boy emblem. The Monster in Miami. And talked about her life. It would have been her life. Right? She would have made a killing. And she might still can. I mean, but did she sell it to him for $20 million? I don't know. So that's basically it. I don't want to take too much long. I'm already at 25 minutes. But I'm starting to think that it doesn't even matter if they don't get the RICO trial. He need to go to jail for some amount of time. I don't know how long. Maybe a good 5-6 years, if not more. 10, maybe 10 years. 10 years of hell he gave her, he need to do 10 years. How about that? Still probably not enough, but I feel like that makes sense. So tomorrow, Cassie gets cross-examined by the defense. Now, for some reason, the defense didn't supply their exhibits or something. They were having some type of heated discussion because I saw some headline talking about it was very tense in the courtroom. This is before the jurors came in for the day. And supposedly, there were some exhibits that the defense didn't hand over to the prosecution. And I guess they wanted to like spring it on them, like all of a sudden, they not even give them a chance to look at it or whatever. And the prosecutors are basically saying, well, we don't care if you just let Cassie see it and ask her, does she understand? But if you're going to show it to a jury, she said, we need to see what you're going to show them. And that's the legal way to do things. And the defense's argument is this: you have to prove your burden. The proof of burden is on you, not the defense. So I didn't know can they do that? Sounds like a little underhanded, but I thought discovery had to go both ways. That's what I always was under the impression of, but maybe not. I don't know. Anywho, yeah, let's get down to comments and talk about this. I really feel like she should have wrote her own book. Hope she didn't, sign away her rights to the manuscript and make a movie, because people need to. I mean, that would have made an excellent movie. But I mean, not to say that we're trying to exploit her pain, not trying to do that, but at the same time, she wanted to get paid for it. That was one of her comments that she made. He said, "Why did you ask for money?" She said, "Because I wanted to get paid for my pain and my time." That's how you can get paid for your pain and your time. Take it to Hollywood. This is a movie, hands down. Anyway, with that being said, y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. This is only day 3, y'all. Day 3. With that being said, y'all, everyone be blessed. Peace.